Lift every voice, sing till rain with a harmony. Oh, dignity, and I'll rejoice, sing, rise, and believe. Let it resound loud as the roaring sea. Everyone sing a song full of the faith that the time has taught us. Sing a song full of the faith that the present is wrong. They say arising sun, new day begun. Let us march on till victory. We've got to march on, my brothers and my sisters. Let us march on. Though the way gets dark and it gets cloudy sometimes, yeah, we've got to march on till victory is won.
Well, on everybody, we're going to get right back to where we need to be. Hello, everybody, everybody. Hello. If you can hear me, put that big thumbs up, Michael, if you can hear me, because it's thundering here. So can you hear me? Good, good, good. First of all, you know what February is. February is my second favorite month of the year. It is Black History Month. Happy Black History Month to all. Great month to celebrate the achievements, especially of foundational Black Americans Not going to get into a political rant, but Black history is American history, it is world history, and it's your history. And especially that message goes out to all my low-key Trump supporters who I have been wishing happy Black History Month for the past month. And I do it every year. It makes me feel good. Yes, it's petty. But welcome to the Tracy Show. I'm, of course, your host, Tracy. I'm joined by my guest, who I will let introduce himself here in just a moment. Brief introduction about the show. This show, The Tracy Show, is a show that interviews alternative party candidates for office. That is whether you are green, libertarian, justice for all, or independent, your voice can be heard here. We try to keep this as informal as possible to let the candidates talk about themselves. And before we get started, let's get a couple of bills paid. Hit that subscribe button. I want everybody to listen to me. I am 2 subscribers. 2 subscribers away from 400. If you are watching and you have not subscribed, hit that, smash that, obliterate that subscribe button. Subscribing helps us to get this message out there. Hit it, smash it, obliterate it, destroy it. Hit that subscribe button. Also support me on Patreon. You will notice that little annoying duck in the corner where our guest is at. That's because I can't afford the $44 a month that it takes to get rid of that duck. And so when you support me on Patreon, you help me to get rid of it. Help that duck to please come down. Help it to come down by supporting me on Patreon. And you will be getting an exclusive show on Patreon. So just support me at Patreon. Support starts at $2 a month, and I appreciate it. You can also contribute to my GoFundMe campaign. Remember to comment, like, and share. And we've already got a comment in here. Hi, hello. She says, I love this song. I do too. It's one of my favorite ones. Grew up singing it in church, still know all the words. So I love it. And make sure to put your comments in if you have any questions for our guest. And without further ado, I'm going to let my guest introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Dublin here in North Carolina, and I would say happy Black History and Liberation Month to everyone out there as we continue to struggle for our liberty, not just this month, but every month. And so I love that song too. I love Riri, and we're gonna jump to it. And I'm looking forward to hearing Tracy sing her rendition of that song at the end of the show. Come on, hey, look.
Oh no, we got a whole different song at the end of the show. Oh no.
All right, I'm trying to get them 2 more people to subscribe.
No, we want them to subscribe, not unsubscribe. No, we want them to subscribe. If they hear me singing, they're gonna hit that unsubscribe, but no, I want them to subscribe. You may go ahead and tell us about your campaign. What is it you want us to know about you? Just give us a
okay. All right,
nice
all right,
introduction.
all right. I hear you. All right, guys. Yeah, I'm Michael Dublin. I'm running for the U.S. House of Representatives for Congressional District 2 here in North Carolina. This will be my second time running that race. The first time I ran in 2024 was my first time running for office. I am by profession a middle school teacher. I've done it 25 years. Soon to retire so that I can continue teaching and education through running for office. I've been someone who's been actively involved in social justice issues. I met the Reverend Jesse Jackson back in the 80s when he came to North Carolina. I have a picture of my grandmother behind me. She got us involved at an early age with the NAACP and social justice issues. back in those days, such as when they were dumping chemicals in marginalized communities here in North Carolina. So I've always been involved with that, and that got me involved with ecological issues as well. Um, so that's something that I've been involved with for many years. Now, I would say I kind of describe myself as someone who is involved, but maybe not in a leadership position. Kind of like a boot on the ground and a voice in the streets for social justice, ecological issues, anti-war. Um, Even though I am a veteran. I really don't like to lead with that or talk with that because I'm like many people in our community who join the military not for the love of country, but for benefits that we needed because we didn't have health care, and there was just I was a college dropout. I didn't go in like a lot of my you know my fellow Green Party members in North Carolina who are running for office, like Anthony Aguilar, Brian McGinnis. These guys were in for a long time in the military, and uh, but I was not. So our stories are different. I was also taught by my uncle who fought in Vietnam, so I knew some of the historical mistreatments of black soldiers, and so these were things that it wasn't that I got in and found out about it. I already knew about it. Yet at the same time, I needed to take care of my family, and I was young, and you know had a daughter on the way, and I needed to take care of them. So, but after that, I got out and worked. I was blessed to go back to school and finish my degree. And at that time, it was like, well, there was a need. There was a need for teachers, for male teachers, and I was being pushed specifically that we need more black male teachers. So I answered the call, and went back. Was able to go back to school. I was blessed and became a teacher. I chose middle school because I wanted to make a difference to younger people before it was too late. Because oftentimes, a lot of them, by the time they got to high school, it was many of them had already decided to drop out. And I just wanted to encourage and strengthen people, um, children, middle schoolers, and in the process, I taught about language arts. So I taught language. I taught writing. I taught speeches, but I also taught social studies because I've always loved history, and I encourage my students to get involved with history and get involved with politics. And some of them did get involved with after some of the shootings back in the 2015 or 2016, somewhere around there. And some of them did get involved and go to protests and do speeches. And I was so proud of them for doing that. And I did reach a point politically. I left the Democratic Party, and I actually did it during the Obama years. I had been gravitating towards independence, but stuff that happened during that time period, I just felt like I had enough. I had enough of it. I just went fully unaffiliated, and kind of went through a period. But I kind of didn't want to get involved. I kind of want to just, I felt like I had done my duty. Now it's time for me to relax and, ride off into the sunset. Yet when the George Floyd stuff happened and a lot of other things, I saw young people getting involved again. I said, you know what? I had to get off the couch. I had to go back into the fight, and this time maybe even in a position of leadership. And so going to the forefront and running for office is, I felt driven to do that, and anybody who is spiritual, you'll understand that because it's not something I planned to do, but I felt led to do that, and so I ended up when I started looking around, I wasn't going to go back to the Democratic Party. I did look at other parties, and when I looked at the platform of the Green Party, I said, this lines up with pretty much most of what I already believe and already have been doing when it came to social justice issues, ecological issues, and the way I felt about government and keeping big money out of government, and actually that the government should represent the people. So to me, it was a natural fit to join and run with the Green Party. So I've been with them um, since 2022, I believe, because I helped with the Matt Ho campaign and the actual ballot drive for us to get to get ballot access. And I came in at the tail end of that, but I did help. And it was a big battle with the Democrats to try to keep us off the ballot. There was a lot of court cases, and we won. And so I'm here to go at it again. I know it's a daunting task because I'm facing an incumbent who has millions of dollars in her coffers, and she has the backing of the corporate America. And I'm seeking the backing of the people, so I can stand up for the people and be answer to the people, not to corporate donors. And I feel like I'm just rambling, Tracy. So I know you probably got something to
I
you may want to
certainly
ask
do
to
have
say.
some questions, but I was like, I don't want to jump in. I want to jump in, but so you pretty much gave me like why it is you want to run. Talk a little bit because I don't live in North Carolina, so I don't know who is the persons or persons because I'm assuming there's going to be a Republican as well as a Democrat. Who are the nominees for each of those? Or well, let me backtrack. Who's the incumbent in that office right now that you're seeking?
The incumbent is Deborah Ross. She's a Democrat. Um, when they gerrymandered the districts down here in North Carolina, they made but they made 10 Republican safe districts, and there was one that was a toss-up. And they've gone back and made 11 safe Republican districts and what we call 3 safe Democrat districts. So um, the district is District 2. It encompasses Raleigh, most of Raleigh, some of Cary, and some of Garner, and Wendell and Nightdale. Um, there's a different Republican running this time, so I can't remember his name. I think Matthew Lasix, I believe I'm saying his name correctly, is the Libertarian running for the same office. So it is a 4-person race. As of right now, I mean we have primaries coming up. Yet in each one of those races for the Democrats, the Republicans, and the Libertarians, there was no one competing. So they've already gone through to the general election, which will take place in November.
Yep, and I am looking here. I'm going to talk about some of her because when a person mentions a candidate, I like to go to a website called opensecrets.org where you can see where their money's coming from because that money plays a critical role. But I do want to talk about what are your top 3 issues that you are running on?
Well, and it's hard to narrow it down to 3, but I would say there's definitely, um, the big issue over the last couple of years has been Palestine. So definitely, as I said, I've been anti-war I mean, forever. Um, you know, when we went into Iraq, I think it was 2002, 2003. I was down protesting against that then, and I didn't never believe there was weapons of mass destruction. I was like, why are we bombing this poor country? And I saw that as American imperialism and aggression, and I ran the risk of alienating some of my colleagues because I wore like a one red glove, and they said, "Why are you wearing that?" I said, "Because we got blood on our hands." And I made a song too called "The Weather in Baghdad." So it's something that when I look at the amount of money we spend on these forever wars, when that money, could be reinvested into our communities, into our schools, and into our health care, which, as many of you know, we got the worst health care of what we call the first world countries, and we get the less bang for our buck. So definitely stopping the war machines, and I want to say domestically as well with these militarized police forces. So to me, I tie those in together, and then the healthcare issues, and so I support universal healthcare, Medicaid for all, livable wages. I mean, there's a lot of workers in District 2 who can't live in District 2 because they can't. They have to live outside the district. And so they need livable wages. I support that of at least $25 an hour. And so those are three, but right there is lineage-based reparations. So it's hard to narrow it down for three to me. But I would say those that I just named: ecological wisdom, the Green New Deal, and bringing in green jobs. And I mean, really, because we have to change and take care of our environment because it's the planet that we live on. We don't have a spare planet in the trunk. And so, as I said, maybe I made narrowed it to the top five. So three is hard because we have a lot that we need to take care of.
And I'm glad you said Medicare for all. Everybody that um everybody that watches this show knows I am a huge, huge, huge. This is my number one issue is Medicare for all. I will argue 10 toes down against people that say, "Oh, we don't need it, and let's expand Obamacare." And no, so I'm glad that you said that. Let's Connect is in the house today. How are you doing, sir? He was on my Sunday show with his comments and anti-capitalist because capitalism is at the root of all of what we're going to be talking about this evening. I want to talk about you said you ran previously and you're running again, and you talk about what's making you run. But when you're at what point of the campaign are you in? Because we know that campaign ballot access for third party candidates or alternative candidates is terrible. We don't get well, in Indiana, alternative candidates don't get a primary. So it's not like somebody can go to the polls and vote for you whenever North Carolina's primary is. So my assumption is that you're concentrating on the general election. Am I correct?
Yes, you are correct.
Okay. Okay.
What North Carolina did is this weebly wobbly thing because for a good minute they had taken us off the ballot because neither Jill Scott Stein nor our gubernatorial candidate got 2%. And there's a rule for parties here that your presidential candidate or your gubernatorial candidate has to get 2% of the vote to retain ballot access. So for those y'all that say, well, why does the Green Party run presidential candidate? Why do you run a candidate for governor? No, you can't win because it's set up by the state of North Carolina. That's a requirement. So all the parties who did not get meet that requirement, they lost their ballot access. Yet there is a provision that says if your presidential candidate was on 3/4 of the ballots across the country, then you can be reinstated. So they took us off, and since Jill Stein was on 3/4 of the ballots across the country, we were able to present that information, and they reinstated us on the ballot. But they said that we are technically a new party. So that means we could not be in the primaries. We had to have a nominating convention, which we had week before last. in our statewide meeting. And so we have a slate of candidates that we're going to present to the State Board of Elections to be on the ballot for the general election in November.
So you are on the ballot in November. Is that right?
Yes, no, we have to go down and file with the State Board of
Once you do
Elections
the
and
filing,
get them.
yeah, once you have your convention and then you file, then you're on the ballot.
Right, because we've had a convention. So now we just have
Okay.
to present the slate of candidates.
So you're not, so our guest last week, the reason I keep asking that is the guests last week, they have to gather petitions to get onto the ballot. I'm assuming you're not even had to go through that. You're just have your convention. Here's our slate. We're on the ballot.
Yeah, and that's largely due to the fight in 2022 with the Matt Holt campaign, and we won ballot access. So we're actually still riding on Matt's coattails because when we presented our information this time around and they voted on it, and it actually was the State Board of Elections, I think it was 3 Republicans and 2 Democrats, and the 3 Republicans voted to keep us on the ballot until 2028, and the 2 Democrats voted against us. So it carried 3-2.
Why.
Right. So it carried 3-2. So we're actually on the ballot in 2026 and 2028.
Oh, you all should be glad that you don't have to go. Oh my goodness. Oh, I know you all went through with Matt Holt, who I had the pleasure of interviewing. Oh, so now that that's kind of out the way, when is okay, so the primary in North Carolina is what date?
It's going on now because it's early voting, but the actual date is March 3rd.
Okay, so
March 3rd.
officially, I'm assuming that the Democrat, her name is Deborah Ross. She's like the front runner, and probably nobody in that party is going to challenge her. Does she have a challenger besides you? I mean, within her own party.
No one challenged her.
Okay, so she's pretty much alone.
Yeah. Filing for those that's running in the primaries that ended December 19th.
Okay.
So no one else could have filed after that date anyway.
And speaking of Representative Ross, I see a new person came in here. Anthony AU. Green Party. Hello. We're straight. I'm not sure what that means, but if you could explain, that would be helpful. So, of course, as soon as you said who your opponent was, I went to Open Secrets and I realized, oh boy, this candidate is very pro-Israel. On ballot access. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm not going to share this screen. I'm just going to read it. And let's see, because I want to ask you specifically about this. So I'm looking at what she's raised, $1.9 million. I'm just going to estimate. She spent 1.6 and has $737,000 on hand. But her top contributor appears to be a group called the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. Now that doesn't sound like AIPAC to me, but it sounds like AIPAC to me.
I'm sure it's if they're not brothers and sisters, they're cousins. I mean, and that's what she has now. But if she needed another couple of million, she could, pull it in like the representative in Texas who pulled in what 2.4 million in 24 hours or something. I mean, she could easily access more if she wanted to. I will say during the last cycle, we were at a candidate forum, and she did say that she said she was not going to take any more IPAC money. I mean,
Yeah, she didn't take
that's
a
what was
pack,
said.
but this group, I'm like, that boy, that sounds like that could be an identical cousin. I mean, that's real close. But I want to talk about. I'm almost certain your campaign doesn't have $1.6 million just sitting around doing whatever it is that you want to. I'm pretty sure I'm correct in saying this. I always talk about this, and I know my third party candidates don't like that. My third party cohorts don't like me talking about raising money, but it's so important, right? It's so important um, because you have expenses. You have a website, you have social media, you have to travel all across North Carolina. You have to feed your volunteers. You have to recruit volunteers. You have to talk about what it is. Not you don't have to give the exact amount you're raising, but talk about what it is that your campaign plans to do with whatever funds it is that you are going to raise and why those are so important.
And you touched on a lot of it. I mean, and even with let's just start the website. One of the things that we really focus on is getting that website to look like a place where people want to spend time and land. I think the last cycle we did the best we could. We did the best we could with the volunteers we had and the time that we had. Um, Yet we know that it's something that we need to improve on. So we've been spending a lot of time on that, and we're actually revamping it again to get it even more where it has more information. It's people will want to go there. We want to add videos. We want to add read alouds for our visually impaired friends. So we want to make it so they can access it as well. So doing all that takes money. Um, like you said, getting volunteers, taking them to places because we have events like town hall meetings that we have scheduled. So that's going to cost merchandise, um, Dublin for Congress merchandise. That's going to cost um, signs, that's something that costs a lot. We spent a lot of money on signs last time, but mostly road signs. We want to do better this year and have not just road signs, but the digital billboards. We want to be able to afford those, the billboards, as it gets closer to the election time. And I'll say this: I mean, the basic stuff like volunteers need to eat, and they put gas in their cars. Last cycle I spent a lot of money on gas and car maintenance and going through shoes because I did a whole lot of walking um, and went through a lot of shoes. So I mean, all those basic things that we need. So I mean, and we're not like you said, we don't have 1.6 million anything close. So we can't pay $40,000 a month on political consultants. Um, but all that stuff matters. Videos, making videos. So I don't know. Last cycle, we did put video. I mean, commercials on social media. I'm not on like YouTube, and so all that stuff costs, and other things like you know, if we were to buy StreamYard, I mean, those kind of things they cost, and like you said, social media. So we are very careful with the money that we spend, but yes, money is needed. So
And
that's why we
and
appeal to people.
yeah, and to contribute to Michael's campaign, go to dublinforcongress.com. The address is right there. He would appreciate any donation of any size. I'm pretty sure I'm speaking for him and I don't want to do that, but he's shaking his head yes, so I will continue. I'm going to probably hit that website a couple of more times because, again, I think that's what, we're not talking about giving away your whole pay. Two, $5, $10 contribution. You stay right in that range. We're not talking about giving $100. If you have 100, Michael would appreciate it. But if you can just spare $5, I'm sure the campaign will put it to use. Talk about, and I didn't talk about this last week, and I really want to talk about this. How many volunteers do you have right now? At this moment, how many volunteers do you have?
At this moment, uh, um, well, I would say 5 to 6 on the campaign, maybe
Okay, so
7.
you're in need. Okay, so you need more volunteers. Okay, so now
Yeah.
here comes my question. Um, so when you're looking, when someone is talk about why someone in or let me backtrack this. Talk about how someone inside North Carolina can volunteer for your campaign and how somebody like me that lives in Indiana can volunteer for your campaign.
Well, yeah. First of all, just go to the website, and there's a button for volunteers. And I would say this: a lot of our volunteers are already outside of North Carolina, and so they help in many ways. Especially things that can be done like virtually, like on the websites and work like that. And when we start making calls and doing things of that nature, I mean, we can do that kind of work with people who are out of state. Any skills that someone has, they want to contribute. Maybe there's someone out of state that can make commercials or make videos, and um, so just basically going to the website and signing up. Now, I also would say this because I did give a number, but I do want to say this: there also are other volunteers who are working with the party and working with the other campaigns. So, like down here. With the NC Green Party, we started caucuses. So I'm the co-chair of the Black Caucus of the NCGP. And then we're the Muslim and Arab Caucus. So there are people in those caucuses who also are volunteering to help with the campaign as well. In the campaigns.
Talk about what okay, so how can I frame this question where it's going to make sense? So many times during our last, and I hate to always bring up 2024's election, but people pay attention to presidential elections where they don't necessarily pay attention to congressional elections. They
Yeah.
just do. It's a fact. Deal with it, everybody. But people would always say of the alternative Green Party candidate, you running takes away a vote from the Democrats. How do you, I know you've got to hear somebody saying you're taking away a vote from Miss Ross or Congresswoman Ross. Want to give her her proper title. That's her title, and I'm going to respect that title. Talk about how do you overcome that? Because I have a way, but I don't think my way is necessarily working.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's real talk. It's real talk because I hear it all the time. I mean, just recently at an anti-ICE event, the lady said, "Well, yeah, if y'all had," and she was talking about, I was there with other members of other groups like Socialist Alternative, and she was like, "Yeah, y'all, the way y'all voted costed Harris the election. That's why we're in this mess. Y'all, blah 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 blah." I mean, you hear that all the time. It's like, you know, the
Wait a
Green
minute.
Party.
Okay, we're going to time out on this one because I got to make sure I understood you right. Some nitwit, and I said nitwit, whoever you are to talk to Michael, I'm calling you a nitwit. My email is tracymcarson74@gmail.com. Said if you voted for Harris, the candidate that said she would give more money to ICE, because she said I would give more money to, said, what?
Yeah,
I'm done. Go ahead, continue. I'm sorry to
that,
interrupt you because I'm like,
that's
no,
that's what I'm
there's no
saying.
way.
We hear stuff like that all the time. It's like, sometimes you want to say, "Do you hear yourself?" You know, we voted for who we thought was the best candidate. Maybe you should have voted. Y'all splitting the vote. You should vote for Jill Stein. But you know, We hear that all the time, and you know what, Tracy? I was approached by people who said, um, you can't win. It's like better that you run as a Democrat to run against Deborah Rose, and you might find support if you decide to do it that way instead of splitting the vote. I said, I can't do that. I can't turn back on my own principles. I can't just say to the people, yeah, now I'm supporting this platform that I don't agree with, and then say, okay, when I win, say then go back to what I really meant to do was what I'm going to do now. So now I'm going to change. No, I have to stay true to my ethics, and so I can't just say, yeah, okay, I run as a Democrat so I can get more money to run against this person and get support and lie to the people and misrepresent myself. How can I start out misrepresenting myself? But yeah,
Oh, they
that's
do it all the time. They
yeah.
do it
So
all the time.
and they do.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And they do, but I have to live with myself, and like I said, this lady behind me taught me better than that. But to people who say that, and I have a discussion with members of my own family because, as you can probably tell, I'm black. I grew up in the South. Almost all of us were Democrats. Almost all of us were Democrats. So some of them are looking at me now saying, "What are you doing? You're the Green Party has no power. The Democrats are the only hope we got, and so you don't take away votes. But people should vote for what they believe in, and what and if your side loses, then that's fine. But you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, I voted for what I believe in. This is who I'm standing with.
Exactly. Now, I didn't vote for Jill Stein this time. I chose to put my everybody knows. I vote for Dr. Cornel West. That's who I voted for. There was like no way. No, there was no apparatus where I'm gonna vote for a party that says, yeah, kill those guys and children. Yeah, just blow them all up. Yeah, give them, don't give Israel just a little money. Give them more money. Give them more. Just throw it at them. And you're cutting SNAP, which again, everybody keep in mind, Joe Biden cut SNAP too. So stop just saying, well, Trump cut SNAP. He did. That's absolutely a positively true statement. But Joe Biden cut it too. So both parties aren't the same. So when I hear that, see, your answer was so eloquent. I'm just like, are you stupid? Listen to yourself. You're literally voting against your own self. You are taking your values and saying this party, which has proven itself not to do anything. What has the Democratic Party done for you that makes you say that they're your only hope? No, we need more parties. We need more independents. Matter of fact, I see 435 congressional seats and some Senate seats that they all need to be out. That's how I feel about it, but that's just me. Um, I believe this is your co-chair of the Black Caucus. This is printed volunteer material for Get Out the Vote campaign. Digital media ads and volunteers are always needed, valued, and appreciated. And I would also add this. Why do they act like they own the vote? It's not yours. How much did you pay for it? Like, or did you buy it 3 votes for $1? Or you're just out here? There are votes and there are people. No, they don't. Slavery ended a long time ago. Like chattel slavery ended a long time ago. My vote belongs to me and I cast it the way I see. That's my soapbox for today because that one statement I cannot. It's just like, are you kidding me? I'm gonna start asking this, like, do you hear yourself?
Do you
Do
hear
you
yourself?
hear yourself? Because
Yeah.
you're not making sense. And another thing that doesn't make sense, and I hear people say this all the time, and this is about the Gaza situation or the situation in Palestine. Well, that's Palestine and that's over there. My contention is if they'll do it to Palestinians, what do you think they'll do to you? The same things that they are doing now or the same things they are doing here. Think about it, people. Over militarization, ICE, the starvation of children, cut in SNAP. Those things happen in Gaza first, and now they're happening. Well, they've always been happening here in the United States. So just because something's over there doesn't mean that they won't do it to you too. That's my soapbox. I'm gonna I stand 10 toes down on that.
Well, no, I mean, and they're definitely connected. I mean, the amount of our police forces who have trained in Israel, and you look at the tactics of you know, those what the police here and the police and the IDF over there, you look at their tactics, and um, I mean, like you said, it's the same. I went to a protest a couple of years ago, and again, it was we were asking for a ceasefire, and it was people came and the news was there, and one of the one of the reporters, I guess she found me because I was one of the black faces there. She was like, "Well, what why are you here? Why are you involved?" And I was like, as a black man who grew up in the South and grew up under the thumb of colonialism, and we know that how it is to be treated like this. So I'm supporting what I see over there because, like you said, well, first of all, it did happen here, and they took care of it over there, and then they can bring it back here, and I look at it as being the same. And so I'm standing with my brothers and sisters and saying, hey, that's not right. And then, like you said, Tracy, they didn't just give them a little money; they gave trillions and trillions of our dollars. And then when you go say, hey, we need health care. Oh, well, blah, 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 blah,
Well, it
blah.
costs too much. Hey, who's going to pay for it? And you found all that money for that war. And for some reason, when it comes to Medicare for all, which would actually save money, it costs too much, but war doesn't cost too much. Okay. I mean, here's what I want to get to some comments because I want to get to these comments and thank everybody for putting things in the comments. You're helping my algorithm keep them coming. So Theus, hello Theus, I did not realize you had came in. You said vote for what you believe in and own the road in the outcomes. What we are missing across the board is people being honest. Well, I'm being pretty honest because there's no way I vote Democrat in the federal election. It just not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. But he says stop hiding the ball. And Kayla says they don't realize now this is the point I want to make. They don't realize that the people voting for third parties would have voted for the two major parties. Thank you, ma'am, so much for saying that. There's no way I would have voted for. I'm not going to the voting booths to vote for Harris or Trump. For what reason? They would have stayed home. Now, I wouldn't have stayed home. I just would have skipped that one and went down to the next election, but that's me. Everyone deserves representation at the ballot box. Then Anthony says, Representative North Carolina Representative Tricia Kostergram, Democrat, switched to the Republican Party after she got elected and gave North Carolina Republicans a veto-proof supermajority. See, now that's foul. That's what's kind of switching. I'm like, you know what? If you're going to just be something, be it from the beginning. Don't run as this. And then when you get in office, I'm going to change.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah. In 2016, I believe was she said she stood up in the legislatures like, hands off my body. Y'all can't, she's standing up for women's reproductive rights and hands off my body. Y'all can't tell, she was a strong. And then I don't know how a few years later, all of a sudden the Democrats were bullying her and she felt like they were making her vote a certain way. So she went to a party where she felt more free to blah, blah, blah. It was like, I mean, tell the truth and shame the devil, what the old folks say. You made a deal. They switched your district around so you can get reelected as a Republican. And, they gave you something for you just to switch. I think it was like 2 months after the election.
She literally lied to her constituents. You ran as this, and then you switched over. I mean, I'm glad you stood and said, you know what, I'm not going to run as a Democrat because my chances are better. I'm going to stand on business. I'm going to be I'm going to be Green Party through and through it. And I really appreciate, even though I'm not in the Green Party, I appreciate that because I think that's the type of honesty out of elected officials that we need. My next question is this. Will there be debates? I've been asking this question a lot, and I haven't gotten too many people that have said that, oh, they're setting up debates with the opposing candidates.
Um, I would say this last cycle, there was a candidate forum where they brought us in and they answered us questions. It was at a mosque in Raleigh. Um, we didn't debate per se, but they asked questions for each candidate, and I'll say that it was two of them. And the first one, it was only me and Mr. Swain, who was the Republican run at that time, because Deborah Rose had a scheduling conflict. So they scheduled a second time, and she was able to make that, but she came late and had to leave early. And she did the same thing for when we had Souls to the Polls, which was, a lot of churches on Sunday. They met at the Dr. King statue. They had an event, and a lot of, politicians from city, state, county came to speak to the people. And she came and she said, I got to go because I got to go to somewhere else. So we actually marched from the Dr. King statue to Chavis Park, where there's early voting. And she didn't march with us. She just came, said what she wanted to say. And the first thing she said was, I love Souls to the Poll. I didn't bring Hakeem Jeffries with me this time, but I love being there. And I'm like, did y'all just catch what she said? I'm like,
Hakeem Jeffries, he lives in New York, right?
yeah.
And y'all in North Carolina. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone because I could say something that would not be nice, and YouTube would kick me off. So I'm just gonna keep my opinion to myself.
So
I'm just gonna just keep it in.
I don't know if there's going to be a debate. I don't know if she would. I mean, I guess from her viewpoint, why would she need to show up if she's in what is a Democrat safe district? She has millions of dollars. A lot of people are, like you said, conditioned to vote a certain way. They will go in and pull straight Democrat. They've been conditioned to vote. They've been voting that way for 40 years. And it's hard for those people to see another way out. I give you an example. Someone that said they went and voted said they didn't even see my name on the ballot. My name was above Deborah Ross's name. So they said they didn't even see my name because they pretty much go in and vote straight Democrat. So it's so hard to get people who've been conditioned to change. I guess our hope is in the younger people who are looking at this and saying that's a bunch of bull and calling people out and not even registering as Democrat because the biggest group of voters in North Carolina are unaffiliated. So that's our hope is that younger people who are not so conditioned to vote a certain way will be more open to independent party politics. Because I agree with you. I wouldn't have went in if there was no Green Party on the ballot or Dr. West. I wouldn't have voted for a president if it was just. Or we did have
Yeah,
Claudia.
those two. What am I kidding? One would let me shut up. I'm gonna stop. So Theus has a question. I'm gonna answer this one. I don't need to take this question from you, but I want to answer his question. He said, given how heavy-handed that the two parties are, why don't the third parties have their own debates and primaries, or do they? Okay, so Theus, they cannot have primaries because most states ban third parties from having primaries. Only the Democrats and Republicans are allowed to have primaries. However, there are at least four groups that I know of that sponsor third party debates. And I cannot think of their names right now. They did a series of them they usually do them during the presidential elections because I know like Joe Stein was in it, Claudia de la Cruz, um, the one guy that was pro anti-abortion, but he was running third party. I mean, there, Chase Oliver, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, third parties do have their own problem. And if you watch them, there's no name calling. They're just talking policy. It was so refreshing. If I find that group, I'll tag you. I'll send you the link because they did a really good job. Oh, and basically, thank you again, Kayla. Basically, what she said was she didn't bring her black friend um to the cookout. Exactly.
That's,
Um,
yeah.
okay, so things came back. There's nothing that can stop you from having a series of live stream town halls and unofficial ballots to gather support and interest. Okay, do you mean me? Or do you mean third parties in general? That's the only thing I'm asking. Because I actually agree with that statement. There's really nothing that stops us from doing that. Um, but I just want to know, do you mean me doing it? Because I'll open up a stream yard and get the you equals third parties. Okay, so he's saying there's nothing. I mean that's I think we're doing that.
Yeah, we're doing that.
Yeah, that's done. Like I know, well, see, Indiana is such a weird state, but really, the only two third parties in Indiana, no, there's three. There's the Forward Party, the Libertarian Party, and the Indiana Green Party. And I don't think only the Libertarians are running someone for a statewide this year. So I don't know if we could have a third party town hall. I think that's a state level thing. I don't know if that's a national, but I could look into it though. I'd be glad to look into it.
So the four
Um,
parties on the ballot in Indiana. I know they're trying to
um,
get it here.
there is a third part. There is a forward party in Indiana. I think it's like 4 or 5 people. Uh, it says, well, if you look at the other third parties, there's the far light constitutional party. That's what they're called, and the far right wing libertarian party. Um, yes, I forgot about the constitutional party, but yeah, that's a lot of uh, work, but it's certainly work that needs to be done. I want to ask about this goes back to your campaign. Where have you, when you're traveling, I'm assuming that you're traveling across the state and engaging people in several ways, whether that's door to door, whether that's town hall meetings, what have you. What is it that people are saying that they want to see change? Is there an overflowing um um is there an overflowing? This is the issue I'm concerned about, or is it the economy and ICE and this and that, or is it just this is the issue you keep hearing over and over and over again?
Yeah, I'll say that as far as traveling, I don't have to travel across the state, just District 2. Um, and
Oh, I
Brian
mean, I'm
McGinn,
sorry. Thank you for
yeah,
the correction. When you're traveling across your district, thank you for the correction.
yeah. Now Brian McGinnis, who's running for Senate, he's gonna have to travel across the state. But the main issues, as I said, over the past couple of years, that's taken the forefront has been Palestine and military spending. So that's been the forefront, and again that ties into for me the militarized police at home. So that's still an issue, and healthcare. Healthcare is big because there's so many people. Okay, like me, like myself. I mean, I work, and yet if it came down to it, and I got sick and had to have an ambulance to go to the hospital, I don't know if I would go this time because I got enough medical bills as it is. And I know that other people are dealing with that as well. People losing their homes and losing, their savings on spending money for healthcare, and it's out the roof crazy. And so those are some of the major issues. That we have a lot of college students in the area, and so paying back college loans, that's a big one. So people need relief from the you know, paying those college loan bills, which is out the roof. Um, and I don't want to spend too much time talking about that, but you know, the setup that was done over the past 20, 25 years on getting people in college debt is ridiculous. It's just, and it was a setup. It was a setup. Um,
Yep. And you know, there's an issue that I rarely talk about because I don't have children. Apparently, childcare is one of the biggest costs. I did not realize that childcare costs because I have no children. So I'm like, well, it's gotta be. All you gotta do is you just wait till they get 5 years old and you send. I didn't realize that childcare could run up to $600 per week. I
yeah,
didn't know. I had no idea.
yeah.
In Indiana, we're cutting the voucher program that poor residents use or income challenged residents use. I don't know what they're doing it in North Carolina, but can you briefly talk about is there a plan that you have for childcare? Because I know I've got to make mental note to talk about that because again, I don't have children, so I'm not out here thinking, oh well, childcare is this and college is this and this because I don't have those responsibilities.
It's something we want to address. In fact, we crafted a bill for free healthcare. I mean, free child care, um, and free college tuition. So that's definitely something that we advocate for. We already have a bill crafted that we would select it, bring in. Of course, I'm not gonna say we're gonna bring it to the floor because we have to go through committee and find somebody to sponsor it in the first place. So we definitely have a plan and for introducing legislation for free childcare. Yeah, because it is the costs are astronomical. If you have,
And
like you
that's
said,
each child.
yeah,
I'm sitting there thinking, oh, well, they give group discounts because if you got more than one child, they're going to charge you. No, that's per child. I sit here like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
yeah,
Um,
and I'm not that far. I mean, I know this too because like it affects members of my family, close family. You know, who are I got grandkids, and I know how much it costs for my children to put them in healthcare, and it's like, wow, yeah,
I literally thought, oh, well, when you have two children, they give you, like, you know how sometimes you bundle your services and you get like a discount for some reason. Again, not being a mother, I didn't know this. I thought, oh, well, if you add a second child, they'll take off this one. No, it's per child. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding? And
yeah,
then what they pay the child care workers is so very low that there's a high turnover rate. Something else I didn't realize. So this is a whole area that I've got to do a better job of getting involved with because I was just I'm just so ignorant of it that I just didn't know
mhm,
that that I figured it would cost a lot, but I didn't think it would cost. I thought, well, maybe $200 or $300. Okay, that's a child. So you got to do this, you got to no six. I'm like $100
a
um
week,
each.
a
And I'm
week,
like, oh
yeah,
well, they'll give you the family rate, like they do at the YMCA when you join, and you join as a family, it's this much, but when you join
mhm,
as an individual, it's more. Nope. Um, I do want to get to these comments because I think Theus is making some good points that I want to get to because he just put an idea in my head. You are limiting your imagination to what exists in the two-party system. He's talking about the debates. You are free to be more imaginative. Run town hall and discussions year round. That's a great idea. The more you do, the more eventually will tune in. But that requires coordination across third parties. Run them quarterly or monthly, but more than just solo influencers. Work together to boost your profiles. I agree with that. And then Anthony turns around and says, most of our discussions and town halls have kind of been out there in the streets with the people. And then Theus came back and said, at Anthony, keep that doing that, but raise your collective profiles as electoral options. It is the time to go bigger at the same time. This is the time use disaffected dams, entities want better options as well. I'm just assuming these things, but here's the point: third parties are so disjointed. I don't disagree with that, and we're not going to talk about that. But you sir just put an idea in my head because I didn't even think about that. I didn't think about that. So we'll come back with um something. Don't know what yet, but I'll give it some thought.
Yeah,
Um, and I will work with other people because I know there's other people that do this too, that they interview third party candidates. Um, Wait a minute. He said, Tracy, you do get a discount for the second kid, but $400 a week plus $200 a week is still $2,400 a month.
yeah, for
That's
sure.
like 3 times my mortgage payment. Oh my gosh. That is like my mortgage payment is 800. That's 3 times as much. I'm like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
and that brings in a housing issue. I mean, because here in District Two, the average rent for a 2 bedroom apartment is going to be $1,400. So you
Oh, that's
again,
cheap. Here it's like 15.
yeah. So just think about that. Um, Along with if you got to spend that much amount of money for childcare, it's like
And
it's
mhm.
almost
And
impossible.
yep, and housing is another issue that I think we want this we don't have enough time to discuss it today. But housing is out of control. Most apartments they want first if you rent, because mortgage is a little bit different. If you rent, they want first month's rent, last month's rent, application fees. They want you to make 3 times your income. And for me, when I was deciding on getting a house, whether to get a house or keep renting, if I had kept renting, my rent was going to be $900 a month. And I'm like, well, shoot, if I got to pay the water bill, the light bill, and the gas bill anyway, I just might as well just go ahead and get a house.
Yeah,
And now the housing rates are, it's like, and then we have private equity firms buying residential property. That's a whole issue by itself.
yeah.
That
You need a whole
that
another hour for us to talk about that. You need a whole another hour for us to even talk about that. It's and I think it boils down to what we said, this rigged capitalist system where they look at housing as commodity instead of saying our people are important, they need to be housed. So um, we look at the medical care as a commodity to make money off of instead of saying our people need to be healthy as much as and so these policies are about just making money for the top 1%, and that's just not sustainable. It has to come down. So it has to come down. So we need to bring the noise. We need to pump up the volume. We do need to work more together. And I am encouraged because of people like Tracy who's doing these podcasts and bringing in independent candidates. And then I believe that she along with others are planting the seed, and we'll keep coming on here. People will find us because they are looking for answers. They're so lost right now, and they're starting to realize, this system is not working, and so they're looking for answers. So yes, we have to be out here. This is why I'm running for office. You know, I had people come up to me last year and say, "Oh yeah, thank you for giving me somebody to vote for," because as we said, they wouldn't have want to vote for anybody. And also thank Tracy for giving us this so people can come and and find out more about these independent parties, because the system that we have, it has to come down. It's not sustainable. This rigged capitalist economy is not sustainable. We can't just keep exploiting people. We can't just keep exploiting our planet. It just won't last. And so we are the hope. So
absolutely.
we have to be the leaders. Whereas we don't have the financial firepower right now, we are the leaders. We're at the forefront of this because the system has to come down. So all those suggestions are right. And I was, I do believe that these people will start working together because, and I do mean independent parties or some say third parties, because we are leaders and we have to. And that does require some of the people in these parties who may be in more of a gatekeeper role to kind of realize, hey, we do have to work together with others, or it's all lost because we got to bring down the system. It has to come down.
Yep. Second to last question. I asked it last week, and I'm going to ask every candidate from now on. What, and I always say three, because I grew up Baptist. I go to a Baptist church. We always do everything in threes anyway. Uh, what three things does your campaign need right now?
Well, we touched on it, and we hate the actual money because everybody's working hard. I despise it, but it's needed. So give what you can. We're going for 26 for 26. That's what we're driving for. If you can do that, if you can do a little more, if you can do less, because we're going to take that money and use it for the good. We're not going, we're not spending money foolishly. So we need that. We need volunteers. We need people to give their expertise and their time. Even if you volunteer and say, well, I can't do much now, but when you guys have a fund drive, when you start calling people, or if I'm in North Carolina, when y'all start putting out road signs, if you have events and need somebody to hand out literature, is there literature we can give you to hand out to other people? The QR code, just have other people scan and just talk, say, hey, I know this guy, this Dublin guy, maybe give him a look at. And so it's not complicated in a way. Just give what you can, be it monetarily or your time or your resources, your skills to the campaign. And if you're out of state, still volunteer. Let us know you're out of state, and then there are other ways that you can help us, even from out of state. I say three.
And you said 2.5, but I'll let it stretch for three.
If you're religious, pray for us. That's three.
That's three.
I take prayer. I take prayer.
And of course, everybody remember I got the website there on the screen, DublinForCongress.com, DublinForCongress.com. We're gonna get to these very last comments, and then we're gonna get to our outro song. Let's get down to them. Thea says, love to have a housing or healthcare discussion, which I think you're doing tomorrow. I'm gonna try my best to be there, but I cannot get to this. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh, love to have a housing or healthcare discussion. I do believe people are trying to attack them from the wrong end of the problem. Anthony came back and said, wait a minute, hold on a second. Anthony came back and said, the Green Party needs to move beyond embracing full immigration and distinction between asylum. Nope, that's not what I wanted to highlight. I can't seem to highlight the comment. Okay, never mind. They respond to each other. So, besides your website, where can people find you social? Are you on Facebook? Are you on Instagram? Are you on TikTok, Twitter? Where are you at?
Yes, we're on X, which is Twitter, yeah, and we just got back on Instagram, and I believe we're on Facebook. I had to really ask Khalil about that one.
Because I found you through somebody else. That's how I found you. But I'm so glad that you were here today. Looking forward to hearing great things from your campaign. I'm not gonna I hate wishing people good luck because I don't believe in luck. I believe in skill and I believe in work.
Right.
And I think we need to work. It's time to ditch the two-party system. I'm going to take our, we're going to take, I'm going to take us down and play the outro song because I've been playing this all month too in celebration of Black History Month. This one is We Shall Overcome. Take that for whatever you want to take it as, but we shall overcome. I'm going to take us
Amen.
down. I'll see
Amen.
you all next Thursday with another test. And I want to say this before I play. Yes, I have a lot of Green Party guests, but I want everybody to hear me. That's from a third party. I will interview libertarians. I will interview Constitutional Party. I will interview socialists, PSL. As long as you're not a Democrat or Republican, this forum is open to you. So if you're a Democrat or a Republican, stay out of my way. Um, because I can't deal with you at no level. But if you're out there saying, Tracy, all you do is interview Green Party. No, I interview all parties that are not Democrat and are not Republican. So I'm gonna take us down. Um, I'll play